Scientists around the world are astounded by strange behaviors suddenly being exhibited by sea creatures. But unbeknownst to them, something has awakened at the bottom of the ocean after a long time. In Peru, a fisherman is preparing to go out to the ocean to catch his load of fish for the day. He casts his net, but something in the water pulls it down, causing him to fall in. He swims to the bottom and finds his net caught in some rocks. While he tries to free the net, a giant swarm of fish appears out of nowhere, surrounds him, and kills him. Next, a marine biologist named Charlie Wagner is working at a facility on Shetland Island in Scotland. She works for the Institute of Marine Biology, which is located in Germany. But she is stuck on this island by herself doing grunt work because she made some mistakes in the past and is being punished by her superiors. She messed up while operating some machines called AUVs, autonomous underwater vehicles. They are used to monitor organic life in the depths of the ocean. One day, Charlie receives a call from her colleague, Rahim, who tells her that she has to accurately map a seabed section by running the AUVs at 25 meters above the seafloor. It's grunt work, and a lot of it. Charlie is upset, but she knows that she is getting this treatment because Professor Lehman, the uptight head of their program, is punishing her for her mistake with the AUVs in the past. Just then, Charlie sees a signal on her computer screen indicating that one of the AUVs has stopped working. She just has bad luck when it comes to AUVs. Maybe consider doing something else for a living, Charlie. Charlie goes out and dives into the ocean and finds something stuck in the chains of a buoy. While she is trying to free it, she feels something moving around her. She swims back to the surface and finds her boat floating away from her. Panicking, she swims as fast as she can and manages to catch up with her boat. In Canada, two members of the Vancouver Marine Institute, Leon and Jack, investigate an orca that is washed up on the beach and has severe bruises and cuts all over its body. The two suspect a human hand in this and visit a local fisherman named Kit to ask questions. Kit shows them his damaged boat and explains that this morning the orca started viciously attacking them, which is very unusual. Orcas never attack boats. However, when the orca wouldn't stop, they had no choice but to attack it back. Next, Thomas and Jess from the Institute of Marine Biology arrive at Shetland Island to help Charlie repair the AUV. Tomas finds a damaged circuit board and suspects it's somehow Charlie's doing. She just can't catch a break with these AUVs. Hoping to catch a break, Charlie arrives at a bar that night and meets Douglas McKinnon. During their conversation, Charlie comments on how this region is very overfished, and just then, Douglas reveals that he is a fisherman, making the exchange rather awkward. However, despite the rocky start, the two end up having a nice conversation and going home together, where Douglas spends the night fishing in her pond. Back in Canada, Leon is concerned because the whales are taking a long time to migrate to this region this year. It is very unusual. The late migration is affecting local tourism. Leon's girlfriend Lizzie, who takes tourists out to sea for whale watching, has been getting fewer and fewer customers because the whales aren't showing up. She tells Leon that if this keeps up, she might have to sell the boat. Meanwhile, Charlie takes the AUV out to the ocean to deploy it, and Douglas helps her. While they are out there, they see lots of pieces of methane hydrate float to the surface. Since this is an unusual phenomenon, Charlie makes a video of it and shares it with the people back at the Institute of Marine Biology. All the colleagues briefly discuss the phenomenon before Professor Lehman launches into a rant about how Charlie took unauthorized, non-employee personnel out to the ocean with her. She's not a big believer of the girls just want to have fun philosophy. Next, Jack speaks to a woman named Alicia Delaware, who is here to do a report on the migration of the whales. They exchange stories, and Jack reveals that he was in charge of training dolphins in the Navy to clear out underwater mines in the Persian Gulf. Afterward, when there was no use for the dolphins, they were kept in captivity because they were declared not fit for the wild. However, the small pools were driving the dolphins mad, so Jack released them into the ocean, and he was dishonorably discharged for this act. Leon hears whale songs through devices placed in the oceans and realizes that the whales are finally arriving. However, he is a little concerned because it seems that all the whales are arriving at once, almost in a coordinated manner. Lizzie hears the news of the arrival of the whales and quickly takes a tour out to the ocean. Meanwhile, Leon, who senses something is up, takes a boat out to the ocean to investigate. While he is out there, a whale surfaces right next to his boat, locks eyes with him for a minute, and then dives down again. Creepy. Leon notices that the whale is heading straight toward Lizzie's boat, and then hears several orcas racing in the same direction as well. He senses something is wrong, and starts speeding after them. The whale reaches the boat and performs a dive, exciting the spectators. However, the next dive it performs is right on top of the boat, splitting it in half. The passengers are stranded in the water, and just then, the orcas arrive. One by one, they start pulling the passengers under the water. Leon arrives and helps the people climb onto the boat, but before he can reach out to Lizzie, she gets pulled down by one of the orcas. All Leon can do is watch while the orcas devour his girlfriend. In France, a restaurant chef purchases some lobsters. Later, he prepares the same lobsters to serve at dinner. But during the preparation, one of the lobsters sprays a thick white liquid on his face. Insert obvious joke here. The chef orders his subordinate Gilberto to clean up the mess, and after some time his health starts to decline. He goes out for some fresh air, collapses to the ground, and dies as he vomits blood. Gilberto, who was also exposed to the thick white liquid, gets sick as well and is hospitalized. He is looked after by two French doctors named Cecile and Sophia, who are shocked by the rapid onset and development of his symptoms. Next, a professor of marine biology named Sigur arrives on a ship chartered by a company named Hovedstad Energy to observe a possibly new species of ice worms that they have stumbled upon while in the search for fossil fuels. He is shocked by the fact that this species is not only reproducing rapidly, but also growing bigger with each generation. He observes a specimen and notices that these worms have unusual claws on the top of their heads, which he has never seen in ice worms before. This strongly suggests that this is in fact a new species. Sigur advises Tina, the compliance officer for Hovedstad, to consult with other experts on this matter, but Tina wants to continue working with Sigur on this. It appears that the two have a romantic and/or sexual history that they are refusing to acknowledge. Sigur is hesitant to work with Hovedstad because if this is indeed a new species, Hovedstad Energy will have to cease its operations in this region. However, the company has a history of circumventing the rules of responsible environmental practices, and Sigur is not comfortable associating his name with that. Tina convinces him by saying that he will be allowed to supervise the final report submitted to the company to make sure there are no loopholes in the fine print. Next, the two arrive at Professor Lehman's lab to discuss the new species, and she points out that the worms have suicidal tendencies. They keep penetrating the ice on the sea floor, even though there is no food for them there. Tina and Sigur have a meeting with Erica and Aaron from Hovedstad Energy. Like the oil-hungry monsters they are, they only express concerns over how these new ice worms will halt their operations, while Tina and Sigur advocate for respecting environmental policy. They decide to investigate further regarding the spread of the new worm species, as that will eventually determine whether or not Hovedstad's operations will continue. Sigur offers Tina a ride home after the meeting, but her new boyfriend arrives to pick her up. That is a new species that Sigur isn't so eager to protect. In France, Cecile continues to investigate the lobster case, and she finds that another restaurant employee was exposed to the lobster's poison. She goes to the employee's house and finds that she has died similarly to the chef. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Gilberto convulses and his heart stops beating. In Canada, Leon learns of another whale attack on a ship and doesn't understand why whales are suddenly becoming aggressive towards sea vessels, as they only ever exhibit this kind of behavior to protect their young. Sigur and Tina are on a ship, conducting another exploration of the seafloor to investigate the worms. However, as they deploy their device, it is strangely pulled down very strongly, almost drowning the entire ship. Sigur and Tina visit Professor Lehman again, and she reveals that it wasn't the worms penetrating the ice on the seafloor, but a new kind of bacteria. If the bacteria penetrate all the way through the ice, it could spell bad news for marine life. Tina wants to go to a conference to see if anyone else in the world has discovered these new kinds of worms, and asks Sigur to go with him. Sigur is very busy, but Tina convinces him for a short trip. She has a boyfriend, bro. Let it go. Thomas and Jess are working on their ship named Juno, and suddenly, the entire ship starts shaking violently. An aerial view shows strange activity in the water all around the ship. Before long, the entire ship sinks. Rahim and Charlie both learn of this tragedy and are devastated. Meanwhile, a strange phenomenon occurs in Italy, as thousands of jellyfish swim to the surface at the same time in a coordinated manner. Cecile studies a sample of Gilberto's blood and finds that his infection was caused by a bacterium named Vibrio vulnificus that produces toxins upon contact with human blood. Normally, cells in the human blood consume this bacterium, but this one appears to be a mutation, and in this case, the bacterium is consuming human blood instead. Sophia tells Cecile that there have been reports of the same infection in several parts of the country, and Cecile realizes that the way the lobster was disposed of must have contaminated the water supply system. Leon gets permission to perform an autopsy on the beached orca and finds a strange white fungus growing in its brain tissue. To investigate the matter further, Leon, Jack, and Alicia go out to the ocean, where they have located some whales sleeping. Leon dives in the water and places a camera on one of the whales. Just then, the whales awaken and start behaving aggressively, but fortunately, Leon manages to make it back to the boat in time, and the three survive. Sigur speaks with Sato, the representative of a company called Mifune Enterprises. He offers Mifune information regarding the ice worms because it is relevant to companies with a lot of shipping requirements. In return, he asks if their vessels have spotted the ice worms as well. Sato informs Sigur that they have also spotted the ice worms in their regions, and during the conversation, he also reveals that Hovedstad doesn't actually have a license to conduct exploration for fossil fuels, and Tina has lied to him. Sigur doesn't bring this up with Tina, because a night before this conversation, he and Tina met at a bar, and ended up sleeping with each other, and he doesn't want to ruin his chances of getting some again. So much for being a champion of the environment. Next, Leon discovers that the whale has removed his camera and goes to retrieve it. He sits down to review the footage along with Jack and Alicia. The footage shows the whales diving much deeper than usual, almost reaching the ocean floor. Meanwhile, the Institute of Marine Biology sends drones to observe the wreckage of the Juno lying on the ocean floor, and Charlie and Rahim sit down with Lehman to review that footage. Leon's footage and Lehman's footage contain the same shocking revelation: a massive bioluminescent creature lying at the bottom of the ocean. The Swarm is a German television series released in 2023, which was praised for its multicultural perspectives and ability to make people ponder upon global ecological threats due to the delicate climate balance being upset. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.